Hi, 𝐬𝐤𝐤 transform to succeed. In this video, this is a demo on how you can launch an EC2 instance and then configure a web server on this system or virtual machine. So I'm gonna take you through the steps that we'll be looking at today. So this is our major project. We will launch and configure the web server on an EC2 instance, meaning on AWS. And to achieve that, we're gonna do about 4 or 5 tasks. So I'm gonna walk you through the steps and we'll do it together. Before we do that, I'm gonna make sure that you have an AWS account already set up. That's a prerequisite to work on this project. And also make sure that you have a way to SSH into your EC2 instance on AWS, meaning that you can either use PODI, you can use Mobile Xterm on Windows or on a Mac computer or other Linux types of computers or Unix-like systems like Mac, Ubuntu, and so on. You can just SSH into using your terminal to SSH into your EC2 instance. We're gonna begin with our first task, and our first task is, as I said, we're gonna launch one EC2 instance using the Ubuntu server AMI. And to do that, we'll do these 5 steps. Number 1, you have to go to your management console on AWS. And number 2, we're gonna find an Ubuntu server AMI. 3, we'll find the kind of instance, the type of instance that we want to use. My recommendation is to use the T2 Micro for a free tier, which allows you to use it for so many hours a year for the first year before they start charging you for using this resource, because that's what AWS does. And then we will configure our instance details, talking about firewall, talking about not firewall, but the other details. So we'll talk about that when we get to that point. And number 5, we're gonna change the security groups to allow traffic in, and the kind of traffic that we want to allow in is HTTP, because remember, we're gonna make this server to be a web server, meaning that clients can connect to our application from anywhere. And so that's why we need to have HTTP open. And then we will need SSH for us as Linux engineers to access our instance and maintain our server. So that's what we'll be doing in this first step, meaning that I'm gonna take you to the console. Here's the console here. And now that we are on the console, the first thing that you have to do is, of course, you have to log in. So you're gonna log into your console. And remember, here we're doing this. I want to go back. We're not using we're not logging in. We are not logging into our console here as an IAM user, and there will be a section we'll talk about as part of this AWS module training. We'll talk about the IAM user, but for now we're using the root user, which is not recommended in the workplace. So go next, and then I'm gonna log in, as you can see. So the first thing I do is to create or launch an EC2 instance. So I click on EC2 instance here. I can click here, EC2 instance, you see that here, or I can go here, and then that's almost the same way. Okay, so or you go to services and you can find, in case it doesn't populate the dashboard here is populated with things that I have already worked on. You see, recently visited. So that's why I have these. So I click on EC2 instance. If you don't see it, you can also search for it here. Just type EC2 and then you're gonna see it. It's here. Okay, so it's pretty much the same thing. And what I need to look for is this orange button here to say launch instance. So I'm gonna click on launch instance here. Remember, give it a name, and we will call it web server, because that's what we want to set up here. And then after that, we look for the AMI. AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image, and in our case, we want to use an Ubuntu AMI. And AMI, okay, sorry. And AMI is also an operating system image that Amazon provides. And you can search for AMIs here by using this here, the search button here, or you can just select, because there's a quick start here. You just click there. So I have selected Ubuntu, and you see here it gives me the kind of like the architecture of this of what I want to use here, and details about the volume type and so on and so forth. And so I know what I want, and now I go to the instance type, and the instance type I recommend to all of my students to use the free tier eligible. So that will be the T2 micro. So leave it as it is. And then the next thing that you need to do is the key pair. So you're gonna have to create a key pair in case you didn't have any before. And for in our case here, this is a web server. So we need a specific web, like a specific key pair. The key pair is which allows you to connect your local system to your EC2 instance. In this case, I'm going to create one. So create a new pair, and we will call it web server key. So call it web server key. And remember, when you name this key pair and you want to create it, and make sure that you leave everything else as default. And then once you press on create, once you press on create button here, hold on, let me make sure that you guys can see the bottom of my page here. So there you go. So once you want to create, make sure that what's going to happen here. So once you press the create key pair, it's gonna be downloaded on your system. Make sure that you find it and then drag it and put it in a safe place. And in my case, I'm gonna move it to where I always store my keys. And I know where I store my keys. So on my desktop, I have created a folder that I call AWS keys. So I'm gonna drag and drop that key in there. So you have to remember the path to wherever, to the location where you have decided to store your key. Okay, so now we go down to network settings. And in network settings, what you need to do is to create a security group, which is a virtual firewall. You see here, it's a security group is a set of firewall rules that control traffic for your instance. So traffic coming in and traffic going out. So you have that, and then in our case, we're gonna create a new security group, and we will allow we're gonna allow SSH traffic from our system. And then you see here, you select anywhere, because there are different options. You have anywhere, you have custom, and you have my IP. My IP, this is the IP address of your system here. And then you have custom, if you want to customize that. But if you select anywhere, and that's what we want to go with, it means that from anywhere, any system that you use, for as long as you have your key with you, you should be able to access your system. It's not very safe for like in production, but for a web application that you want your clients from anywhere around the world to access, then this should be selected as it is, because you want everybody to access your web application, right? You want everybody to access Facebook, you want everybody to access, and this could be like a social platform, a social media platform, or anything like that. All right, so we have selected this allow SSH, and then here we need to select HTTP. HTTP, it's not secure compared to HTTPS, because when you do HTTPS, so you know HTTP, it's 80, and in my I would say choose also this one here. So you choose that, and when you choose that, you know that you're going to create a security group. I'm gonna give it a name, and remember here under VPC, let's go with T2S VPC here. So we choose that and assign a public IP, because we're gonna need this IP address to be able to make your web server, web application visible on the website, on the internet. And we give it a name. We'll call it Web Server Security Group, and the description, we'll just use this. I'll say security group for our web server, and then we have already decided on the SSH here, and HTTP, you know, HTTP, that's port number 8, and SSH, that's port number 22, HTTPS, that's port 443. So we assign these, meaning that we're gonna open these ports here. Okay, so we have done that, and now we have to configure storage, and storage we'll just go with 8 GB, and then this is the summary of what we want to spin up. And sometimes you may have to spin up like 10 instances given whatever is needed or desired from your manager or your company. And in our case, it's just one instance. And then before we launch, let's go to the advanced details, and I'll show you what I want to do now. So we go back here, and number 2, if we go back here, hold on. If we go back to our here, so what we want to do, we have done step number 1. Okay, so we're done with step number 1. We go now to step number 2, and step number 2, so we are pretty much done configuring the settings of what we want our web server to have or to get. And now we need to configure the user data in EC2, and the reason why we want to do this is to say that upon during the launch of our EC2 instance, we want these commands to be run. And to do that, we're gonna add these commands here. So kind of like create a bash shell script. So that's what we are going to do now. So we go back to we're gonna go back to our command, or actually to our website here, to the console. So we go back to our console here, and we look for the advanced details here. So you find it here, and when you get to the advanced details, so what I want you to do is to go down to the almost the bottom of this page here. You're gonna find user data at the bottom here. There it is. Here it is. So you find it here, and here what you do you can either create a separate file, bash shell script, that you can upload in here by using this choose file button here. So if you click, it gives you the option to upload something. See that? But we will not upload anything here. What we want to do instead is to type in this bash shell script, and a bash shell script always begins with the shebang. That's the pound hash sign exclamation point, and then you have bin bash, and then I'm gonna add this command here, these commands. So it's gonna be apt update, and then what we want to do next is to install our web server. And our web server that we'll be using here, it's Nginx. Nginx is similar to Apache, and these two are kind of like the most popular web server applications. So we have that, and then once we do this, and we added the Y here to say, okay, to every question that the system may ask us, just say yes. So that's it. And then when you're done, you now go back here down to launch, and let me show you what we have done so far. What we have done is that we have done step number 1, and now we are almost done with step number 2. So we're gonna go to step number 3 to create our web pages. But before we do that, let's go back to our console here, and what we want to do is to launch our instance. And this is gonna take some time depending on your internet service that you have, and your system, the system that you're using, and stuff like that. So otherwise it takes just a few moments. Now you can click here, you click there, or you can go to the, you go here, search, you're gonna go to your search up on your screen. You go there, and then you're gonna find, you're gonna search for whatever you want there. So like in our case, it's EC2, because I want to go to the EC2 dashboard. Click here. That's another way to do it. Or you can go to the dash EC, or you go here, services, and then you see there, and then you're gonna find that there is one instance running, which is good. And if you want to see also previously created instances, you can just get rid of this filter here. You know, this one here, that's a filter. So you clear, and then you're gonna see the other instances that you may or might have created in the past. Like in my case, I have 2 here that have been stopped, and what I want to focus now on is only the web server instance. So I click here. You can click on the ID here, or you can select just here. And when you select, if you move this up, what you see information about your system here. So the system ID, you see the IPv4 address, the public IP address, and then you also have the private IPv4 address. And we're gonna use the public IP address to allow us to SSH into the system, as well as verify that our web server is up and running. So we're gonna go, so you're gonna do that, and I'm gonna close that. Okay, so if you go back here, you have selected the system. Now we can see if we can connect to the system. So I'm gonna say connect, click there, and this is where we use now SSH. So you're gonna need to locate the spam key wherever you saved it, and once you find it, then you have to change permissions on that key. You have to change permissions on that key, which will be 4000 to and then once you do that, then you go to the last step here. And if you're using a Windows system, you're gonna need to use a mobile Xterm or POTI to connect, and I have videos on that, or you can find videos on how to do that on YouTube as well. So let's go back. Let's now go back to our terminal. So we go to our terminal, and on our terminal, what we want to do is to go find. We need to go find our system here, wherever our key. That's what I meant to say. We need to go find our key. Hold on, I think I'm losing something here. Okay, there it is. Okay, so that you all can see this. So this is where I am, and on my desktop, this is where I store all of my keys. So all of my keys are in the AWS keys folder. Gonna clear my screen. So I have to move, literally move, and to move, it's to change directory, use the cd command. So I'm gonna do that, and I am there. If I ls, and this is my web server key PEM that I created, and then the first thing that I need to do is to go back to my system here, to my console, and I get back to my AWS console, and I click here, just click there, command copied, and then I go back to my command line, or command line. I go back to my command line, and I am here. So what I do, I just paste the command, and then I press enter or return to run it. So that's done. I go back again to my console, and I choose, now I'm going to select this one here, copy this command, long command, and back again to my CLI or command line, and then I paste that command and then press enter. It's going to ask me, do you want to continue? Are you sure you want to continue connecting? Then I type in yes and press enter. And when you do that, I'll clear my screen, and you see that I'm actually logged into my server, and I can do like uname -a to see what I have here. So it's an Ubuntu system we just created today, right? So we launched the system today, and you can let's say if I do which Nginx, and then you see it's there, and so what we have done, I'm gonna take you back to our project here. So what we've done is that we started off with this one. Step number one, we have launched our EC2 instance using the Ubuntu server AMI. And then step number 2, we have installed the Nginx server as part of the initial setup. And now what we need to do is to create web pages. And to create web pages, we need to go to so we go to this folder. We're gonna need to go to this folder here. So we're gonna need to go to the var. So we go to this directory here. So when you go here and you ls, this is what you get. You have HTML there, and then we need to go into the HTML because this is where our website will reside. So we're gonna go there, and then make adjustments like create pages in there. So you're gonna do this again, HTML. So you're gonna do that. So another way that you can do this is to just do cd var www and HTML, and then press enter. See, and then you see ls. You have these things here, but we can create our own text here. So what we can do, we can either create very you can just let's say sudo make dir. We're gonna create the index HTML, and then the next one will be home HTML. So you do that, and then if you ls, so now we have these pages. And if you want to be fancy, you can add stuff to your home HTML if you want to. Something like this. You can maybe add. So let's say you can do sudo nano. Let's say home. This is what we want to do. So you go in here. You can add something like if you want to, but you don't need to do this. So doc type and then HTML. So you do that. All right, that's my bad. I think what I realized that if you look here, I created directories instead of files. So I'm gonna delete those. I'm gonna do that first, and then I'll do the same with the other one. So that's my bad. So I'm gonna delete those, clear my screen, and ls. So what we're gonna need to do is to just sudo nano. You can create by just saying touch. You create the home HTML, and then you also add index HTML. Press enter. Yeah, apparently you have to do sudo here. So that's done. If you ls, you have your two files here, and what I want to do now is to I mean, pretty much if you go back to our plan here, so pretty much we have done everything here. So we've done everything. Now what we need to do is to configure we need to configure now Nginx, and to configure we have to restart. We have to enable and restart the Nginx server here. So using that command. So we're gonna go back to our CLI here. And what we want to do is to we're gonna need to cd, go back there, and then what we need to do is to sudo system ctl restart Nginx, and then you can check if it has already started, like by using the systemctl status Nginx, and then you see here it's already running. So press Q to X out of that prompt. So this is what we have done, and we go back again here. So when we go back here, that's what we have done, step number 4, and now we need to go to step number okay, hold on here. We need to go back to step number 5. Did I just skip step number 5? Okay, hold on. 4. And this should be 5. Okay. So so we have to verify. That's step number 5. Sorry about that. So we have to verify, meaning that if we go to any browser and paste in our EC2 instances public IP address, and then we should be able to see our website. So that's what we are going to do. So first we have to find our IP address. So we have to find our IP address. So we go back to our, sit here, to go back to our instance, and we find our instance, and this is our IP address. So if you go here and then you press it there, I'm gonna close that. So you place it there, you know, on top. Okay, let me show you what I'm doing here. So you see on the top there. So that's where I put it there, and you press enter. It should take you to your web site, but something is not happening here. It's saying not secure. So we still have to configure our home HTML as well as the index HTML. So let's go back there. Okay, so I'm gonna show you what I did here. So in order to verify, you have to make sure that your home index, home HTML, and index HTML files have been configured. So I'll show you what I did here. So what I did was, okay, I have some code here. So you have you know we created these 2 files. So if you cat the home, the HTML, I added this. So you can also do the same to configure that. And also I added to this one here, I added this piece of code. So, and now after doing this, if we go back to our system, our web page here, so this is the IP address, see? And if you refresh, it's gonna take you to the index page, and then we have this one. That's a piece of code that I added. I'll show it to you here. You know, the piece of code, you know, this one here. So meaning that you get to the index HTML, you have also the go to index page. So if you go back here, so you press back, and then takes you to the home page. The home page is empty, and then you have the option to go back to the index page. So you can have different pages like about page, you can have a home page, you can have contact us page. That's how you do it. And then pretty much I think we have covered everything. So what we have done in this demo is that we configured and launched and configured a web server, and in this case Nginx, on an EC2 instance on AWS. And then the tasks that we accomplished through this video here was: number one, we had to launch the EC2 instance, and we took care of those 5 steps. And then number two, we installed the Nginx server as also part of the launch, the initial setup. And then next 3, we created web pages, home and index, and also we configured those 2 pages. And number 4, we configured, of course, the Nginx, the whole system, and after doing that, then we verified, and our website is working. So thank you so much for watching this video. And if you are interested, you can reach out to us, T2S, in case you want to change careers, become an IT professional. And if you want to pursue like a cloud training, just reach out to us too. Linux training, reach out to us. And DevOps training, you can also reach out to us. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.